always thought I knew what love was, or at least what it should look like. I'd been in and out of relationships, had my fair share of flings, and experienced the kind of excitement that comes from casual connections. But for some reason, none of those moments truly satisfied me. It wasn't until I took a step back and reflected on my life that I understood why. Before I started dating seriously, I had been with 11 different people. Each encounter was different in its own way, but they all shared one common thread. They were mostly physical. At the time, I convinced myself that the pleasure and the thrill of being wanted were enough. The idea of casual sex seemed liberating, freeing even, without the constraints of traditional relationships. I told myself it was empowering to not need more than that. But as time passed, the excitement started to wear off. The novelty of it all faded, and I found myself feeling disconnected. In the aftermath of each encounter, I would lie there, staring at the ceiling, questioning why I didn't feel any different. It felt like something was missing, like I was searching for meaning in all the wrong places. I started to realize that I was using these experiences to fill a void, but they weren't doing it. I wasn't really getting to know anyone beyond the surface level. And honestly, I wasn't being truly seen or heard either. Each person I slept with had their own idea of what they wanted from me, and I never stopped to consider what I actually wanted in return. It was more about the physical connection than the emotional, and it left me feeling empty. I tried not to think too much about it. I didn't want to admit to myself that I was craving more, so I kept going through the motions. But deep down, I knew I was searching for something deeper, something more meaningful. I just didn't know where to find it. That's when I met him. I'd known him for a while, and we started talking more casually at first. He wasn't like anyone I'd met before. He didn't rush me into anything, didn't push for more than I was ready to give. We started out as friends, and it felt easy. Our conversations were genuine, comfortable. There was no pressure, no need to impress each other. We would talk for hours about everything and anything, and I realized how refreshing it was to connect with someone without expectations. Eventually, we started dating, but it wasn't like anything I had experienced before. We took our time, got to know each other, and built a foundation of trust. It wasn't about rushing into physical intimacy. It was about understanding each other on a deeper level. When we finally did become intimate, it was different. It felt more natural, more real. There was a sense of comfort in it, a sense of belonging. The way he made me feel was unlike any of the casual encounters I had before. He saw me for who I was, not just in the moment, but for all of me. He listened, he cared, and he respected me. It wasn't just about the physical connection anymore. It was about the emotional bond that had developed between us. We didn't need to talk about love. It was understood between us. It was quiet, steady, and real. Looking back, I realized that all those previous experiences were just stepping stones toward this. They weren't failures, but they were moments that taught me what I truly needed. I learned that love isn't something that can be rushed, and it certainly isn't something that can be found in a fleeting encounter. True love requires time, patience, and vulnerability. It requires the willingness to be open and honest, to build trust and connection beyond the surface. And when I finally found it, I knew. I knew it was real because it was built on a solid foundation, not on the temporary thrills of the past. The 11 times I had sex before dating were part of my journey, but they didn't define me. What defined me was my willingness to wait for the right person, the one who would see me for who I truly was, and love me for it. In the end, love wasn't about counting the number of times I had been with someone. It wasn't about trying to fill a void with fleeting moments of pleasure. It was about finding someone who valued me for who I was, not just what I could offer in the moment. And once I understood that, love found me, in the most unexpected and beautiful way.